Every law student studies justice. We memorize articles, doctrines, and cases, learning the intricate dance of legal procedure. But sometimes, buried deep within the dense pages of textbooks and case digests, we lose sight of the fundamental question that sparked this entire journey. What does justice truly mean? Because here in the Philippines, every case file tells a story not just of laws that were broken, but of lives that were irrevocably changed, communities that were divided, and a nation that was forced to confront its own values. In 1999, the name Leo Echegaray became a household term. He was the first person to be executed by lethal injection after the death penalty was reinstated. For the state, for the proponents of capital punishment, this was the ultimate form of justice's severe penalty for a heinous crime. The law had spoken. The Supreme Court, in a landmark decision, had affirmed the constitutionality of the death penalty, reasoning that it was within the power of Congress to define which crimes were so grievous that they warranted the forfeiture of life. But as the nation watched, a profound question echoed through the streets, in coffee shops, and in our very homes. Was this justice, or was it simply state-sanctioned vengeance? The division wasn't just legal, it was moral. It forced us to ask ourselves a difficult question. Can true justice ever be found at the end of a needle? Can a society that takes a life, in the name of the law, still claim the moral high ground? Then, the legal system was presented with a different kind of story, one that challenged the very definition of a criminal act. This was the case of Genosa. Marivic, a battered wife who had endured years of unimaginable abuse at the hands of her husband, finally reached a breaking point and killed him. On paper, the law was clear. This was parricide, the killing of a close relative, but the Supreme Court chose to look beyond the letter of the law and into the heart of the matter. They saw not just a single, violent act, but a long, harrowing history of pain, fear, and a desperate struggle for survival. In a groundbreaking ruling, the court recognized the concept of battered woman syndrome, not as a free pass or an excuse, but as crucial context. It was an acknowledgement that years of trauma can fundamentally alter a person's state of mind. Here, justice wasn't about a simple, punitive response. It was about mercy. It was about understanding the deep, invisible wounds that drove the visible act, and recognizing that sometimes, justice means seeing the victim within the accused. But justice isn't always about mercy. Sometimes, it's about restraint. This brings us to the case of People versus Hubilla. Imagine this scenario. A man is attacked, and in the heat of the moment, he defends himself. However, his defensive action goes too far, and his attacker ends up dead. The court was faced with a delicate balancing act. While acknowledging his right to self-defense, they ruled it as incomplete self-defense. Why? Because for self-defense to be justified, the danger must be real and present. The response must be proportional to the threat. The moment defense turns into retaliation, the moment the immediate threat is gone, but the aggression continues, it crosses a line. It is no longer a matter of protecting one's life. It becomes an act of revenge. Justice, in this instance, demanded a precise measure, a balance. It teaches us a critical lesson. The line between self-preservation and vengeance is incredibly thin, and the law must guard it carefully. And let's not forget, justice isn't confined to the dramatic world of crime and punishment. It is also deeply embedded in the relationship between the government and its people, especially concerning the people's fundamental right to know. This principle was powerfully affirmed in the case of Tañada versus Hubilla. The issue was simple, yet profound. Can a law be enforced if the public doesn't even know it exists? The Supreme Court delivered a resounding no. They declared that no law could take effect without being published. Why? Because the age-old principle that ignorance of the law excuses no one can only be fair and just if the people are given every opportunity to know what the law is. You cannot hold citizens accountable to rules they have no access to. Justice, in this sense, is transparency. It is the unwavering principle that a government's power is not absolute and that for justice to exist, the people cannot be kept in the dark. It is about empowering citizens with knowledge. So, after sifting through these cases, what have we learned? Justice seems to wear many different faces. Sometimes it's the face of punishment, holding individuals accountable for their actions. Other times, it's the face of mercy, understanding the human story behind the legal facts. It can also be the face of balance, demanding restraint and proportionality. And often, it's the face of truth, ensuring that power is checked and that knowledge is shared. But as I sit here, surrounded by books and case files late at night, I realize that justice is more than just a collection of verdicts and legal doctrines. It's a matter of conscience. It's the quiet, persistent question that every law student, every lawyer, and every citizen must ask themselves: are we just learning how to win arguments and apply rules, or are we striving to truly understand people? Because in the end, that might be what justice is all about. Not just judgment, but understanding. Thank you so much for joining me on this reflection. If these stories resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more discussions. I'll see you in the next one.